validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I greatly appreciate your patience today. We had a little bit of a snag earlier and just kind of rolled over. So we started a half hour late today, but we start every day at approximately 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We're not going to change our timeline for those of you that do not observe daylight savings time. So when we do have that daylight savings time shift, which is going to be coming up soon, it's just going to be different for the rest of you guys in America, but it's going to be the same for the rest of you guys that are watching us around the world. So stay tuned on a daily basis, weekly basis, because we are live 7 days a week. We've got different topics every day of the week, typically niched inside of business, finance, and self-improvements, relationships, social interactions, and stuff to that effect. But today we're actually going to be talking about expats in Australia saving big with insider secrets. And I took a little bit of time to do some digging because, you know, when we're talking about stuff, we're not just talking about things that happen in the United States. We talk about things that happen all over the world. And the goal is for us to enlighten you on all the information that I can get my hands on so that you guys have the ability to start asking the right questions in the right places and do your own research and be able to inform yourselves on common knowledge that people tend to overlook, which would aid you in your ability to be more successful as an individual exploring certain options. So when I find something that I think is very relevant to you guys, and I think that you guys can benefit from it, I do the best that I can to try to piece together as much information as possible, and have a show about it that helps you guys formulate an idea, an opinion, and then do some research and cross reference the information that I give you, because I don't expect you to take my word for it, but I do expect you, after a while of following the show, that you actually take my word for it, because I don't just bring you hypotheticals. I don't bring you conspiracy theories. I actually do my research on these things before I air it on the show. And then you can go back and ask the Google lady. And when you go back and you ask the Google lady, I can guarantee you that the Google lady will tell you that exactly what I told you is exactly the facts. So by all means, take your time to go back and cross check what we tell you. But at the end of the day, you're going to be noticing that everything that I tell you is in fact fact. And that is the only difference between me and some of the other podcasts that kind of put their own personal opinions on social media, which is perfectly fine to do. I don't put my personal opinions on social media before I put the facts on social media that led to my personal opinion. So I want you guys to think about that real quick as we move into today's topic. Man, cold weather got all the aches and pains acting up today. So join me as we dive into some of the insider secrets to saving big as an expat in Australia. Now, for those of you who don't know, expat is an abbreviated anagram for foreigner that lives in the country, um, a foreign resident. So that's like the shortest way to explain it to you in case you didn't know what that meant. We're going to be uncovering some of the best tips and tricks to maneuver yourself around Australia. And as we're doing this, I want you guys to understand that moving to a new country is going to be a very thrilling experience. And this is the difference between moving to a new country versus vacationing in a new country. Is when you vacation in a different country, you have a round trip ticket set up in some way, shape, or form. You have a certain quantity of money you're going to spend. You're going to hopefully leave the country before you run out of money. You're going to go there with the clothes on your back or with no clothes, and you're going to buy clothes while you're out there. And then you're going to go back home with everything that you bought, where your place of residence is not that country. When you're moving to another country, you're taking a lot of your personal valuables with you as you move to that country, and then you're trying to buy yourself a place to stay. You're shopping at the local markets. You're finding employment. You're probably not finding employment if you're retiring there, and you are adapting to the new way of life there, as opposed to the way of life that you've experienced for the longest portion of your life as whatever country you came from, if you're not an American citizen. Because me, from an American citizen position, my perspective, I would be giving Americans their knowledge of expat behavior in other countries. But this actually does apply if you were not born and raised and is not a citizen of Australia in this particular situation. You could be coming from Japan, you could be coming from Romania or Brazil. Big ups to Romania and Brazil and the Philippines and Vietnam. And we'd be able to go over to Australia and still be able to experience these things. So you're not excluded if you didn't come from the United States. So you guys who are watching us from all over the world, special shout out to Red Void, Omni 81, Silly Emma, AJ, Mr. Pibbs, that you guys can still benefit from this information if you decided to leave your country and travel over to Australia and make that your new permanent residence, or at least long-term residence. So think about this as we're going into it. Now, we understand that this is going to be an overwhelming experience, especially when it comes to managing your finances, because a lot of us like to buy a lot of impulse purchases for souvenirs and other such as a vacationer, but as a resident there, you're really trying to get your necessities down first, establish a reasonable quantity of revolving income. That way, you have the ability to buy a little bit of stuff that you technically don't need and still have extra money coming in every month to cover whatever standard of living that you want to have. As an expat in Australia, you're likely to face a range of financial challenges that can make it difficult to make ends meet. And one of the biggest hurdles expats face in Australia is the high cost of living. From housing to food, transportation, and entertainment, everything seems to cost more than you expected. And if you're not careful, you can find yourself blowing through your savings in no time. And that's the basic standard of living. That's not even the entertainment. That's not the souvenirs. That's not, you know, extra travel. That's just the basic standard of living. Taxes are another major concern for expats. Navigating the Australian tax system can be a nightmare, especially if you're not familiar with the laws and regulations. And to make matters worse, you may be liable for taxes in your home country as well as Australia, which can be a huge financial burden. On top of these financial changes, expats often struggle to find the best deals. Now, you have the ability in Australia to get discounts, especially in your new home country. And I actually did not look for some of the incentives that they have in Australia for moving to that country and relocating, because I feel like that in and of itself should be a whole nother show about Australia that covers all of the reasons why you should either invest in Australia or move there and live in Australia. So we're probably going to be doing a follow-up show in about Australia, which means that you guys should check that out in days to come. But there are a lot of benefits because a lot of countries give a lot of incentives that aid and encourage foreigners to relocate their income there by either moving there or investing in the country. Now, it can take a while to get familiar with the local markets and even longer to find the best places to shop, eat, and play. And let's not forget about the language barrier, because if you're not fluent in English, navigating everyday tasks can be a really challenging thing. As a result, many expats find themselves overspending on everyday items simply because they don't know where to look for better options. All of these factors can make it seem like saving money as an expat in Australia is impossible. But the good news is that there are ways to overcome these challenges and make the most of your hard earned cash. With a few simple strategies and insider tips, you can start building up your savings and achieving your financial goals in no time. So, what are these insider secrets? Well, for starters, there are some amazing discounts and deals available to expats in Australia if you know where to look. For example, many restaurants and cafes offer special promotions for new customers, and some gyms and fitness studios offers discount memberships for expats. And if you're willing to do a bit of research, you can find some incredible bargains on everyday items like groceries and household goods. Expats can access exclusive discounts on clothing, beauty products, and technology from popular brands like ASOS, Adidas, and Sephora. By creating an account and verifying status, users can enjoy at least 10% off many purchases. You have international student identification cards that allow for a small with this small fee, expats can obtain this card, which offers access to over 150,000 discounts across various sectors, including accommodations, travel, dining, and retail. So if you're a student in Australia, this card can particularly benefit you as a foreign exchange student, but can also be used by expats. Expats under 30 can benefit from special fares through student flights. They offer discount prices on flights, tours, and accommodations tailored for students and young travelers. Many states in Australia provide public transportation discounts for full-time students and eligible expats. This includes reduced fares on buses, trains, and trams when presenting a valid student ID card or identity card. Many eateries offer loyalty programs or student discounts that expats can leverage to save on meals. This it's advisable to inquire about any available promotions when dining out. And when we say inquire about it, you ask before you order. And I can guarantee you, just like here in America, if you're a senior citizen, you talk to the waiter or waitress about a senior citizen's discount. When you are a veteran or a military service or a first responder, you ask them about those particular type of discounts before you start ordering, because if they offer that, most people do in the United States offer veterans discounts or first responder discounts. And when you're going out to nightclubs, note to self, aside from Australia, here in the United States, if you're going to nightclubs and other places of entertainment, a lot of those nightclubs and stuff offer a discount for um, labor workers. So, like if you work in a restaurant or something like that, and you show them proof that you work in that particular type of in hospitality, they have a hospitality discount. But if you don't ask for it, they're not going to give it to you. They're not going to promote this and say, hey, if you work in a restaurant or if you work in hospitality, we give you a discount. No, they don't tell you that. But if you go to the bartender or you go to the waitress or the shop girl and you say, hey, do you guys have hospitality discounts? Then they'll tell you, oh yeah, we do, because most places do. Now, this saves you a little bit of money here and there. Sometimes it's 5%, 10%, 15% off, but the money adds up. So if you ask about these things, inquire about these things before you start spending your money, you can come to find out that there are certain places where you can still enjoy yourself, but save a little bit more of the money that you're about to spend so that you can have a lot more money to spend later on. Now, expats can often find deals on tickets for concerts, theater performances, and local events through platforms that cater to students or young adults. And that's going to be based on the incentives that Australia has for trying to get young adults into the country and hang out and utilize some revenue. Because understandably, the old people definitely want to go to other countries and retire, but old people don't really want to get around and spend a bunch of money a lot of the times. Um, if they have a decent quantity of wealth, they kind of want to keep a little bit more of their money into their pockets and prepare to will that stuff off to the next generation. So it's not always um, an eye catcher for some countries to attract the older adults. So they don't have a lot of incentives out there for them. But they do still have incentives for all walks of life in some areas. For example, some health insurance providers offer tailored plans for expats that include discounts on premiums or additional coverage options. And certain banks provide special accounts with no monthly fees or reduced charges for international transactions specifically aimed at expats, which means just because you've got money coming from the US and you want it to go to Australia, that if you set up a bank account with them, you can have ACH transfers to that account, direct deposits to that account, where you're not, instead of doing a wire transfer, you do an ACH transfer, and you can set it up from your own personal bank account and have it set up where it's an automatic bill pay to a bank account in Australia, and the bank account in Australia will receive it as a direct deposit, and you don't have to pay that $65 wire transfer fee. There's a lot of things that you could do if you really look into it, but these things encourage you to redirect your income into their country. Another key strategy for saving money as an expat in Australia is to get familiar with the local market. Take some time to explore your local neighborhoods and talk to other expats and find out where they shop and dine. You might be surprised at how much money you can save just by shopping at local markets or using cashback apps. Now, you may not have the same taste as other people. You may not have the same interest as other people. But if you talk to other tourists, you talk to other travelers, you talk to other foreign natives that have been there for a reasonable period of time and know some of the hidden haunts of the country, they can tell you where to go to find really good things that's not on the brochure, because that's one of the things you have to think about. Every country has a tourist attraction environment where that is the only thing that the country is known for, is the tourist attractions. But when you want to find non tourist attractions that are really awesome about this country, that is hard to find. You can't even ask. Matter of fact, I can think of, in at least 3 different states in the United States, a handful of places that you can go to get certain things that you would like to have that nobody talks about, because it's something that only the locals would know. But when you start thinking about, if you name any state in the 50 states of the United States or any of the provinces, there's always going to be a major city that everybody goes to visit. There's always going to be a major neighborhood that everybody goes and parties at. There's going to be primary restaurants, prestigious restaurants that everybody goes to in that neighborhood to go and check out. But what is 20 blocks down the road on the left? Nobody knows. Nobody talks about that. And that's where all the good stuff is. So you got to talk to the locals and find out where's all the good stuff that's not on the brochure, because that's when you can have a better time than the time that you're having with the incentivized tourist attractions that are widely overpriced, and then still not have to spend as much money. And don't be afraid to negotiate. Many Aussie businesses are happy to give discounts or special deals to loyal customers. So if you're going to start shopping there, and they might give you a 10 or 15% off discount for the first time that you buy there, and then you decide that you're going to keep buying stuff whenever you go, you're going there to get what you want to have. They may go from giving you 15% off for the first time to giving you 25% off every time. It really depends. They might give you 15% off the first time and then give you 15 or 20% off if you spend a certain quantity of money every time you go. I mean, I had a store that I used to shop at so much that a lot of the times he would just give me a few things for free because I bought so much stuff there. So the loyalty perks, they're not going to have a point system, but they recognize your face because you shop there often. And as a result, whenever you're trying to accomplish something, they're going to make sure that you get your cut. You get your discount, your members appreciation thing. So you have to remember that you got to, hey, can you cut me a break on this? Don't be embarrassed to do that. But the real game changer for expats in Australia is the budgeting apps. So there are so many amazing tools available that can help you track your spending. Remember, we were talking about fintech investments. This is it. Apps that help you with your financial investments, apps that help you with financial savings. You have AI automated systems that help you with controlling your finances. So you don't need a personal assistant walking around all day. You just need you a Siri, Alexa, Cortana, or some other AI system that can help manage your bank account with you, along with your ability to manage your own funds. And this level of automation gives you another level of personal security, because you don't have to trust somebody else to know what's going on in your wallet, right? Now, the best part is many of these apps are free or very low cost. So you can start saving money without breaking your bank. By using a combination of these strategies, you can start building up your savings and achieving your financial goals in no time. one of the things that you want to start doing while you're in there is establish before you even go. This is one of the first things that I recommend that you do. I recommend that you prepare. You don't want to go to another country and then start trying to figure it out. What you need to do is you need to figure out what you want to accomplish in that country before you go. Try to get as much information about the prices of the stuff that is out there, and then you want to uh establish yourself a monthly budget to keep expenses under control. Now, uh, I'm looking here that if you aim for a specific spending limit, such as 750 AUD per month, which covers a living cost, including rent, food, and transportation, this will help prioritize essential spending and avoid unnecessary luxuries. Now, I know that when I tell you 750 AUD, you're going to be like, what is that? Uh, what is that in comparison to US dollars? So before I keep going, I just want to make sure that we sit here and we talk about how much AUD to US dollar conversions are, so that you will be able to say that, I completely understand what's going on here. Now, 750 Australian dollars is equivalent to 466 US dollars. Now, that means that one Australian dollar is valued at 62 cents of US currency. So 750 Australian dollars is about $466 of US money. And if you want to know what is the standard of living in Australia, you gotta look these things up. But you have high standards of living, and but we're looking at right now, we're looking at an average weekly household expenditure of around 2,200. uh when I say weekly, I'm like, wait, hold on. And that is because you're looking at $600 for the home loans or rents, $400 for food and eating, and $200 for insurances and other financial services. So the average income household in Australia for this is a net adjusted disposable income per capita, is 37,000 US dollars a year, which is more than the OECD average of about $30,000 a year, $30,500 a year. So a $37,000 a year income. I think they got them a typo, because they're talking about a $2,200 weekly expenditure on a $3,700 income. You are going to go broke very quickly, because there's no way that those numbers add up. Because if you're spending $2,200 a week, you're spending like $8,800 a month, and that is not a $37,000 a year income. $2,200 $2,500 a year is approximately about $32,000 a year. So $2,200 a month is about $30,000 a year, maybe like $29,000 a year. So you want to try to uh uh find yourself a uh budget that you can actually work with. And okay, and now we've got new developments that, according to the most recent available data, that Australia has for a single person about $2,923 a month, including basic necessities, while a family of four would typically spend around $5,266 per month, which is higher than what we were talking about with Japan, because Japan pays for your standard of living for the kids up until they're 18, and you're looking at, ooh, that is $7,786 per month for AU money, which is Australian currency, and $4,329 per month for a single person. So in Australian currency, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's less than the US because right now they got certain housing areas in Florida that are like the rent is $3,000 to $4,000 a month plus all of the rest of the amenities. And then you also have in places like California where minimum wage needs to be $40 an hour to cover their standard of living, where rent can be as high as $4,000 to $5,000 a month plus the rest of the standard of living. So you understand that if you're adding an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month to the cost of the rent, you're usually paying in California as much as $7,000 or $8,000, close to $10,000 a month for your standard of living. And in Florida, you're close to $6,500 a month for your standard of living. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 incomes to match that kind of money. And places like New York would expect you to have $5,000 to $7,000 a month worth of income. And you're looking at places like Australia that want you to have 3,000 US dollars per month reasonably for a comfortable standard of living. This isn't living lavish. This is just, you know, doing a little bit more than the average person. Uh, and that's one of the reasons why they're saying that if you have such spending limits as uh, s- spending on top of your bills about $750 per month, because they're talking about covering the cost of living, rent, food, and transportation. You're trying to keep it less, and that's actually putting it at 30% close to, because you're talking about 2,900 versus 750, so that's keeping it low. And this will help you prioritize essential spending and avoid unnecessary luxuries. Now, if that's the budget that you're setting and you're going to end up going over budget and you're going to end up working at like $1,000 to $1,500 a month, you're still under that $2,000 a month expectation, but you're definitely not riding a $4,000 a month scenario. You want to allocate a responsible weekly budget for food around about 50 to 60 AU dollars, Australian dollars per week. So if you're looking at $60 a week, you're looking at approximately $240 a month, which is still inside of that $750 a month standard of living. And focus on shopping smartly. So look for discounts, buying in bulk, and choosing local products to reduce grocery bills. Utilize credit cards that offer travel rewards for everyday purchases. This could lead to significant savings on flights and accommodations when traveling within Australia or internationally. Dining out can be expensive in Australia. You want to opt for home cooked meals and free entertainment options like outdoor activities or community events to save you some money. Familiarize yourself with Australian tax rules for expats. Australian residents benefit from a tax free threshold of $18,200, while non residents face higher tax rates without this threshold. Knowing your tax status can help you plan better financially. Now, also, you want to keep in mind that a lot of countries do not tax you for international income. They usually tax you for local income. So when you are dealing with local tax rules, you still got to double check those local tax rules. But uh, Australian Australian residents that are expats, which are like dual visas and stuff to that effect, long-term tourism kind of scenarios where you're going to be there for a year, 2 years, 5 years, you're in on business, something like that. You're drawing an income in that country, typically could see yourself with that tax-free threshold of under $18,200. While again, not having that, where you have no threshold for tax exemptions if you are a non-resident. So if you're just there visiting for a really long period of time, but you don't have a residence there, living in hotels and stuff to that effect, but you're still making money in Australia from Australians, they're probably going to tax you the full amount. So You want to be able to know those tax statuses, which will help you plan your finances better. You want to take advantage of the superannuation system, which is similar to Social Security. Contributions made by employers can accumulate over time and may be refunded if you leave the country. If transferring money internationally, consider using currency trading companies instead of banks for better rates. This helps maximize the value of your funds when converting currencies. As an expat, you can claim deductions for work related expenses such as uniforms, travel costs, and self education expenses, which can lower your taxable income. Unless you're one of those people like me that is going to be investing in stocks and bonds and other such in other countries where my money is going to be coming from the US and going into that country, they may charge me a certain forms of taxation on that, but there are going to be some incentives for international investing that could potentially waive or completely eliminate some, if not all, of the taxation from turning a profit from international spending. If you look into the laws, rules, and incentives provided by the country, you can determine if any event that you can benefit from some of this stuff if you choose Australia for the sake of it being Australia versus choosing Australia for the benefits of investing. I was actually having a conversation with a relative earlier today. One of the other reasons why we started late today, and I was talking about the difference between starting up a business and having to run and operate that business versus taking a bunch of the extra money that you have and putting it somewhere where you're living off of the interest off of that money instead of continuously having to micromanage a business. If you're living off the interest of money that you have created, then you are capable of piecing together whatever this business has got to offer. You're capable of piecing this together, and that gives you a certain quantity of interest. And then if you're living a percentage of that interest, because I told them, I said, if you're getting 100% of the money that's coming to you as dividends returned from your investment as a shareholder, and you take a percentage of that and spend it and take a percentage of that and reinvest it, you're increasing your principal every year. So depending on how much money you're getting back, if you put back half of it or 25% of it or 75% of it, then you're increasing the quantity of distribution of capital that you can get from them on a monthly, weekly, quarterly, annually scenario. Which by the reason why I explained it to them this way is because by not spending your principal is always there, which means this time's allocation will be next time's allocation. If you spend the principal, you can only spend the principal one time. You get $50,000 and you spend that $50,000, it's gone. You have to make another $50,000. Whatever you did to get the $50,000 last time might not be replicatable. But if you take that $50,000 and invest it somewhere, and then you're getting a certain quantity of money off of that $50,000 and you spend that, the $50,000 is still there. So you can keep getting money off that $50,000. I was talking to him about, if you wanted to buy yourself $100,000 car, you could do that. But instead of buying $100,000 car, you get $100,000, you invest it, and then you use the interest off of the $100,000 to go and buy your $100,000 car. Typically, you want to do a 3-to-1 scenario where you have $300,000 somewhere before you go and buy your $100,000 car. So if you invest $300,000 into stocks, bonds, and gold and other such areas, and that $300,000 is generating 20%, what is that, $60,000? So if you get $60,000 a year off of the $300,000, that's 60% of the value of your $100,000 car. You can go get your 100,000. You can get you a cash loan for $100,000 based on the $60,000 that you just made, and use the cash loan to go buy the car for $100,000, where you're making monthly installments on the last $40,000. But if you're making $60,000 a year, you can pay off that cash loan in 1 year. That's the kind of stuff that make it make sense, because you have the title to the car on one side and you have the cash loan on the other side. If something happens where you default on the cash loan, the only thing that the cash loan is going to do is take away the stocks and bonds that are being utilized to leverage the cash loan, but you still own the assets. If you buy a house cash up front and now you owe money on the cash loan to get the house, you have the deed to the house separate from the cash loan that is being utilized to pay for the house. So if things go south, debt is being secured by cash capital. And if the cash capital and the debt washes each other out, you still have the stuff, which means all you have to do now is just find a way to make more money, but you still keep all of the stuff, as opposed to having a lien on the car, a lien on the house, a lien on this, a lien on that. And then when the money goes bust, like MC Hammer, they're walking out of the house with all of your stuff, and they're taking tow trucks and towing away all your vehicles. One of the most surprising tips I've come across is the idea of using what is called a dummy bank account to help you save money. A dummy bank account is essentially an additional account that you open primarily for specific financial purposes, such as saving money or taking advantage of banking promotions. These accounts are often not intended for regular use, but can serve various strategic functions. Essentially, you set up a second bank account that's just for savings, and you transfer a set amount of money into it each week. By keeping your savings separate from your everyday spending money, you can avoid the temptation to overspend and make savings a priority. And the best part is, it's incredibly easy to set up. All you need is a spare bank account and a bit of discipline. This also gives you the ability to establish emergency funds. You can set up a spare bank account with your primary bank, or you can set up a spare bank account with different branches. Now, here's something that I want people to think about, because there's a thing like dummy wallets, where you have an extra wallet that has nothing of relevance in it, with a secondary identification card in there that you don't mind losing. You have, when you're thinking about this dummy bank account, you have a dummy bank account that you do not have a debit card to, so you can't make impulse purchases off of that dummy account. You have to go to the bank and specifically withdraw the money out of the bank in order to access the funds in that dummy account. So even if you see that money in the dummy account, you're not able to take that money out readily. Now, for those of you that do online banking, I know that you can impulse transfer money from one account to the next, but that only happens if all of your accounts are in the same bank, which is why I encourage everybody to, have a checking/savings account set up at your bank, where the bundle package is going to be incentivized, but you want to put money in one bank and then have money go to another bank. That way, you don't have all of your money in the same place at the same time. And the one that's set up for savings is inbound transactions primarily, and no debit card. So you can't make a purchase off of that account. Like I said before, you got to go to the bank and get that money out in person, which discourages you because most people are lazy. And before we decide to go the effort to go to the bank and wait in line so we could take out a stack of cash to do something stupid, we can talk ourselves out of that, because it's more trouble to go get the money to make the purchase than what it is to not have that item. Which discourages you from making those purchases. Impulse buying is only ratified by your ability to have a mobile wallet, to have all your debit and credit cards on your cell phone or on your computer, where you don't have to look for your purse or your wallet to make this transaction. All you have to do is point at the item at the moment that you're impulse to buy it, and then do a payment verification, whether you do a thumbprint, whether you type in a password, whether all you have to do is put in the zip code of the credit card that you're about to use. And while you're looking at this item, holding your cell phone or at your computer, you can immediately purchase this item instantaneously. And before you can regret your purchase, it's being shipped to you. But if you've got to go through the trouble of finding your wallet, finding your purse, getting in your car, driving to the bank during business hours and withdrawing money out of the bank to make that purchase, you will be discouraged from making unnecessary purchases, because the only time you go through the mission to get money is when it's an emergency or it's a daily, monthly, weekly necessity. Many banks offer cash bonuses for opening new accounts or switching accounts. So by using a dummy account, you can take advantage of these promotions without affecting your primary banking setup. For example, some banks may provide incentives for switching from one account to another, allowing you to earn extra cash simply by opening and then closing the account after meeting the requirements. A dummy account can be designated solely for savings, helping you separate your savings from everyday spending. And this mental distinction can encourage better saving habits by making it less tempting to dip into your savings for non essential purposes. You can set up automatic transfers to your dummy account, making it easier to save consistently. For instance, transferring a small amount regularly from your primary checking account can help you build your savings without requiring active management. By using a separate account for specific savings goals like travel or a new gadget, you can more easily track how much you have saved towards those goals. This method also helps you avoid overspending in your main account. Another thing that you can do with that is, if you're getting a certain quantity of capital from this savings, you can take those savings and invest that into stocks and bonds and other such, and that will earn you a larger quantity of income. And then you can redirect your frivolous spending to the dividends received from the investments, where your primary money is going into a stock, bond, or mutuality of some sort. And then the money that you get back is your play money. Dummy accounts allow you to test out new banks or financial institutions without committing long term. You can evaluate their services, fees, and interest rates before deciding whether you switch your bank primarily to them. You want to make sure that you're choosing the right account. You want to look for accounts with no monthly fees and favorable terms that align with your savings goals. You want to set clear goals, define what you're saving for, and how much you want to accumulate in your dummy account. Then you want to have automated transfers, those ACH wire transfers that don't charge you any money to make that happen. You want to set up automatic transfers from your main account to ensure consistent contributions to your savings. Then you want to monitor your progress, regularly checking the balance and progress towards your savings goals gives you the ability to adjust your contributions as necessary. By using this strategy, many expats have been able to save thousands of dollars each year simply by keeping their savings separate from their everyday spending money. It's a simple but powerful tip that can make a huge difference in your financial situation. And the great thing is, it's not just for big ticket items. You can use this strategy to save up for anything from a new laptop to a dream vacation. So, how can you start using these insider secrets to save big as an expat in Australia? The key is to start small and be consistent. Begin by setting financial goals for yourself, whether it's saving for a specific item or just building up your emergency funds. Then take some time to research and explore the local markets. Look for deals and discounts that can help you reach your goals. And finally, use budgeting apps and other tools to help you track your spending and stay on track. By implementing these insider secret strategies and discounts available to expats in Australia, individuals can significantly reduce their living costs in Australia and can significantly enhance their financial situation and save money effectively while enjoying their time in the country. Whether through budgeting, leveraging tax benefits, or maximizing reward programs, careful financial planning is key to thriving as an expatriate in Australia. So that was the longest quantity of information that I could put together for Australia at this particular point, but I do believe that I'm going to follow up with some investment opportunities, and I'm going to follow up with some incentives in line with the investment opportunities for expats in Australia, and probably actually set that up for some time next week. So I really want to appreciate you guys for coming to the show tonight, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments about what are some of your favorite tips and tricks for saving money as an expat in Australia or the country of your choice. What countries do you like that you live in or that you visited that you have some insider tips and tricks that's not readily advertised in social media that can help an individual that comes to your country save a little bit of money on day-to-day expenses? I want to make sure that you guys like and subscribe. And for more expat related content, I want you guys to make sure that you check out what we've got coming up for the upcoming week. Also, remember, tomorrow being Saturday night, we're supposed to be having Alan come in from alanito.music, the creators of our opening and closing song for the podcast. So we'll be able to talk to him. We should be able to talk to him if he remembers. I'm going to remind him between tonight and tomorrow morning that, oh, by the way, you're going to be live on a podcast. So we're going to be, that's definitely going to be the day that we start on time, because he's going to be taking time out of his day to be there for the show. So I'm definitely not going to be late that day. I want you guys to make sure that while you like and subscribe, that you remember to show up tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Central Time. That's 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and swing out. If you hit that notify me button on YouTube, or if there is a notification button on Twitch or Twitter, when that show airs, it will send you a notification reminding you to swing up. But if you show up an hour ago tomorrow, you'll be 5 minutes early before the show, and I can guarantee you that right when it's supposed to happen, it should be happening tomorrow. So I look forward to you guys coming tomorrow. As I say on a daily basis, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And special shout out to Red Void, Liberty Twitcher, Silly Emma, Mr. Pibbs, and AJ on Twitch, Twitter, as well as YouTube. We really appreciate you guys, because if it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't know where we would be at today, because a lot of y'all make us who we are. Another special shout out to Max Opposer, Joe, which is Max's father, and Reese Martinez for special contributions to the podcast. If you guys like the information that we provide to you, you can always send us a special like, special thanks, special emojis, gifts that gives us the ability to fund the podcast a little bit better. So there's a lot of information that we put out there for every country around the world. We take our time and pick a different country every week and pick a different country just about every day. And we talk about all the best things that you can get out of investing and starting up businesses and moving to other countries outside of the United States, as well as some of the things that you can benefit from coming to the United States. Because earlier this week, we were just talking about the U1B citizenship status, and the changes that was going to be made there, and what you guys can look forward to for that. So you could check out yesterday's show. So there's a lot of things that we put up on this podcast that can benefit international travel, international business, and international living. So you want to make sure that you like and subscribe, because there's always something there. And if you come to the show at the end of the show, go back and watch the show from the beginning, because I can guarantee you that there's a lot of much needed information in there, because once you know what questions to ask, you know what answers you're looking for. Because a lot of times in life, you don't know that you don't know until you find out from somebody else that you didn't know. So it's always good to take a look at somebody who's going to deliberately provide you with the common knowledge and the uncommon knowledge to help you ask the right questions. Because once you have the right answers, I change the questions. And that's the best way to go. It makes you more knowledgeable about your day-to-day operations and helps you become more successful in your ability to achieve your own personal agendas. And that's what I aim for with this podcast, is making sure that you guys have the capabilities to being the most successful in your lives. So your self-sufficiency and self-success based on first-person accountability and your ability to be knowledgeable about that success is one of the major things that I promote on this podcast on a regular basis. And I'm not just going to talk about it, I'm going to be about it, which also means, in the sense, I practice what I preach. As you hear from me on a weekly, monthly basis, because we're live 7 nights a week. We were live on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. We didn't take any days off. We live with the sun doesn't rise without us airing this podcast. So if you guys come to this podcast on a daily basis, you will see us talking about something, and whatever it is that we're talking about, somebody's going to benefit from it somewhere. So you can share this with somebody that you know. You can share it with somebody who wants to argue against it, because this is an open-minded, open mic, open forum podcast. And if you ever want to click the link in the comment section, approve the mic, approve the camera, come on to the podcast in real time and talk. As long as you're over the age of 18, we can have an open-minded discussion. Even if you disagree with what I have to say, we can have a debate about it. It's perfectly fine. I debate with people in the comment section on a regular basis. But the fact is that I only talk about facts. I don't talk about my personal opinions. I talk about the facts and whether or not I agree with how the facts inconvenience us as people. You don't have to like the facts, but it is what it is until we change it. And I always encourage people that if you don't like the environment that you're in, that you change it. The metaphorical phrase is burn it down and rebuild it in your own image. But really and truly, what you're doing, actuality, is you're changing your environment by changing how you engage with other people. You're changing with how you allow other people to engage you. You're changing your decision-making process. You're changing the allowance of poor decisions being made in your presence. And this improves your lifestyle. This improves your standard of living. This improves your ability to not be caught up in so many emergencies that cause you to waste a bunch of money on bailing other people out of their stupid decisions. This provides you with the ability to save and invest and build up a better standard of living. Because why spend your entire life living paycheck to paycheck when you can have a life where you can't find a way to spend all of your money? Why not set goals, 5, 10, 15, 20-year goals, where you will eventually end up in a place where you have so much money coming in that you have to buy something so that you can get a tax deduction on it, so that you don't have to pay Uncle Sam if you're an American citizen, that you have to invest in something so that you can take a loss somewhere so that you don't have to pay taxes on certain investment platforms in certain countries. You want to make debt a benefit. It's not supposed to be a liability. It's not supposed to be a struggle. You're supposed to be able to leverage debt so that you don't have to pay taxes. You're supposed to be able to leverage expenses so that you don't have to give away your money. And when all else fails, donate to a charity. That way, so if you've got to give your money away, give your money to a cause that you support. And that way you can see your money going a lot further in a lot better ways, so that you don't have to see yourself struggling from check to check. And those of us that want to leave a lineage, you want to build up assets so that you have something left behind for those that you've created, by all means, you can build that legacy. But if you follow what we've put up on this podcast about trust, so that you can have beneficiaries receive the capital that you've built for them, you could build an empire for your children and your grandchildren and build a trust and put all those kids on it, so that when you pass over, the government doesn't take all of your stuff and probate and then tax your kids for the money that they inherited because you put everything into a trust. There's a way that you can do it right now today and start setting things up for yourself right now today, setting things up for your kids right now today, so that you don't have an unexpected passing cause your entire estate to go to the government that you live in. Instead, it would be already designated to go to your next of kin as you so choose, when you had your conscious living will created, or your conscious trust created, your private irrevocable trust created where nobody can mess with that. And now you know that your kids are protected, your grandkids are protected, and you can actually rest in peace. That is one of the major goals, is to have the second half of your life be fun, not miserable, and then actually be able to say that you can rest in peace. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to make sure that you like and subscribe and follow what we got going on the podcast, because you guys will enjoy a lot of the things that we got coming up. And if you've got topics that you want us to talk about, questions about anything that is appropriate, I promise you, I will do some digging on that, and I will come back to you in reasonable period of time with a show dedicated to that topic to answer just about all your questions, and then come up with some new detailed information that you might not even be aware of. And that gives you the ability to start doing your own research so that you can dig deeper into some of the concepts that I presented to you on the podcast, which gives you the ability to have a better insight, an in-depth insight onto the things that matter to you. Because if it matters to you, it matters to me. On this, that, and everything in between, we talk about this, that, and everything in between. So there's nothing off the table. As long as it's appropriate, we'll be able to discuss it. That gives us the ability to have a better insight on life, which helps you be a better you and helps us be a better us. So again, I want to say I really appreciate you guys coming to tonight's podcast. As we wrap it up, I want you guys to hang out, because Alan from alanito.music, the song is coming up. It's called Higher Ground. It's going to be the closing song for tonight, which is, we have a different variation for the opening song that's going to be here for tomorrow. We have a few other songs that in the description, you have the whole album there. You can click one of the links and go to the YouTube channel, listen to the song for free, or you can purchase the song for download. There's a link for that as well. We keep that in all of the descriptions for all of the shows. You just scroll down a little bit and then you can click the button. These are the things we want you guys to take a look at, because this is very inspirational stuff. I love to rock out to it every day. I want you guys to be able to enjoy it as well. I'm your host, Xander, for This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting down upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.